Words create desire. Attraction isn't born from the things most men obsess over. It's not the designer clothes, the polished car, or even the grand gestures meant to impress her. No, desire is sparked, ignited, and sustained by something far more subtle, far more primal: your words. And not just the words you say, but how you choose to wield them. Most men fall into the same trap. They talk too much. They over-explain, they overpraise, and they overshare, thinking that constant reassurance will win her over. But here's the paradox. The more you explain, the more you smother her imagination. The more you pour endless compliments onto her, the faster they lose their weight. What once sounded flattering becomes predictable. What once felt special becomes noise. Stoicism teaches that power lies in restraint. The disciplined man knows that silence often speaks louder than speech, and a single sharp word can strike deeper than 100 hollow ones. Desire thrives in space, in incompleteness, in tension. And when you give her that tension, when you resist the urge to overfill the silence, she leans in. She wonders. She chases clarity. Think about the Zeigarnik effect, a psychological principle showing that humans are wired to remember incomplete tasks more vividly than completed ones. When you answer every question, when you leave nothing unsaid, you close the loop. There's no reason for her to keep thinking about you, but when you leave things open, when you create mystery with your words, you plant an unfinished puzzle in her mind. And the more she tries to solve it, the more she thinks about you. That's where desire begins, not in certainty, but in curiosity. Consider the man who, when asked, "Do you like me?" instantly blurts out, "Of course I do. You're amazing. I think about you all the time." It sounds sweet, but it's predictable, flat, and forgettable. Now imagine another man, calm and composed, who simply leans back and says, "Maybe." That single word lingers. It leaves her mind spinning. What does he mean? Is he teasing? Is he serious? Why won't he just say it? Suddenly, he's in her thoughts long after the conversation ends. This is the art of desire, to master brevity, to weaponize subtlety, to understand that mystery creates more fire than certainty ever could. You don't have to be cold or cruel. You don't have to manipulate or play childish games. You only need to resist the urge to overgive. By holding back, by letting her imagination do the work, you become unforgettable. The Stoics remind us that mastery is not about doing more, but about knowing when less is enough. Your words, if chosen with precision, can pierce deeper than any act of desperation. And when you learn to use them with discipline, few, sparse, sharp, you stop being just another man chasing her attention. You become the man she can't stop thinking about. Desire doesn't grow in comfort. It doesn't blossom when everything is certain, predictable, and neatly explained. Desire is born in the space between, where curiosity lives, where tension lingers, where she cannot fully grasp you. Most men rush to fill silence. They scramble to reassure, to define, to give her every answer before she even asks. But in doing so, they smother the very spark they're trying to ignite. Certainty is safe, but safety is boring. Women don't crave what is completely given. They crave what is just out of reach. When you say, "We'll see," instead of rushing into promises, you create anticipation. When you pause instead of nervously explaining yourself, you build intensity. That pause, the space where nothing is said, becomes louder than words. She starts leaning in, waiting, wondering. This isn't about playing games, it's about embodying calm strength. A man who is comfortable with tension shows he doesn't need instant validation, nor does he fear her silence. That unshakable composure is magnetic. It tells her, without words, "I cannot be rushed. I will not be moved. If you want me, you'll have to earn me." The Stoics mastered this art of restraint. They knew that patience, discipline, and silence were forms of power. And when you embody that power in your interactions, you stop being predictable. You become the source of tension she can't resist, the storm she wants to chase, the mystery she aches to solve. Few words carry as much power as maybe. On the surface, it's short, casual, almost dismissive, but beneath that simplicity lies a weapon, a word that ignites curiosity, denies instant gratification, and flips the dynamic of attraction in your favor. Think about how most men react when a woman seeks reassurance. She asks, "Do you like me?" And instantly, he scrambles to prove himself. "Of course I like you." "You're beautiful. I think about you all the time." It sounds sweet, but it's predictable. He's closed the loop, left nothing unsaid, nothing for her to chase. Now picture the Stoic man. He doesn't rush. He doesn't beg to be understood. When she leans in with expectation, he simply replies, "Maybe." That single word changes everything. Suddenly she's unsettled. She's curious. She replays the moment in her head, again and again, trying to decipher his meaning. Is he teasing? Is he serious? Does he like her or not? This is the psychological edge of maybe. It keeps her mind open, her imagination restless. The Zeigarnik effect shows us that incomplete answers are unforgettable. And maybe is the perfect incomplete answer. It denies closure, leaving her hooked on the mystery. But the true power of maybe isn't in manipulation. It works only when spoken from a place of calm confidence. A man who is desperate, who says maybe, but secretly fears losing her, won't create attraction. He'll create confusion. But the man who embodies stoic indifference, who is comfortable with uncertainty, makes maybe magnetic. Because in that moment, she sees he is not her puppet. He is not desperate for approval. He lives in his own frame, his own certainty, and that rare strength makes him unforgettable. If maybe sparks curiosity, then enough commands respect. It is a boundary in a single word, sharp, final, immovable. And when spoken calmly, without anger or apology, it reveals a man's deepest strength, the refusal to tolerate disrespect. Most men crumble at this stage. They bend, they explain, they plead. They let small violations slide, hoping to avoid conflict. But every time they swallow their voice, they chip away at her respect. She doesn't admire a man who sacrifices his principles just to keep her happy. She admires the one who stands firm, even if it means standing alone. That's where enough becomes lethal. Imagine she pushes too far, testing your patience with drama, disrespect, or manipulation. Most men would argue, justify, or try to appease her. But the Stoic man doesn't. He looks her in the eye, steady and unshaken, and says, "Enough." No yelling, no chaos, just a calm declaration that the line has been crossed. That single word carries more weight than hours of arguing because it is not about her, it's about you. It shows that your dignity is not negotiable, that your soul is guarded by an iron wall. Women may resist in the moment. They may push back, challenge, or pout. But deep down, they can't help but crave the man who refuses to fold. Boundaries are not barriers to love. They are the structure that makes desire possible. Without them, attraction rots into pity. With them, it sharpens into respect. The Stoics lived by principle, not by approval. And when you wield enough with that same calm conviction, you stop being just another man desperate for peace at any price. You become the man who teaches her, through action, that your soul is untouchable. And respect, once earned this way, is the foundation of obsession. Individually, maybe sparks curiosity and keeps her chasing clarity. Enough commands respect and forces her to recognize your strength. But when these two words are combined, they create a balance so magnetic, so unshakable, that she cannot ignore you. Desire is not built on chaos or weakness. It's built on polarity. A woman craves both mystery and structure, both freedom and boundaries. Too much unpredictability, and she feels unsafe. Too much control, and she feels suffocated. But when you master the interplay of maybe and enough, you embody the paradox she cannot resist. Unpredictable, yet stable. Teasing, yet grounded. Picture this. She asks if you're serious about her. Instead of over-explaining, you smile and say, "Maybe." Immediately, her imagination ignites. she leans in, wanting more. But later, when she tests your patience, when she crosses a line with disrespect, you don't argue. You simply say, enough. In that instant, she sees you as both a puzzle and a fortress. She can't fully pin you down, but she knows she can't break you either. This is the essence of masculine polarity, a man who refuses to be predictable, yet never loses control. He is both the storm and the anchor. Maybe fuels her curiosity, keeping the fire alive. Enough earns her respect, keeping the structure intact. Together, they create a cycle of desire that few men ever achieve. But remember, these words only work when they reflect the man behind them. They are not tricks or tactics. If you say maybe from fear of rejection, she will sense weakness. If you say enough in anger, she will sense insecurity. Their power lies in calm certainty, in the stoic mastery of self. Used together with discipline, maybe and enough transform you into the rare man who is both magnetic and unbreakable, the man she cannot control and therefore cannot stop craving. A word's power is never just in what you say, it's in when you say it. Timing can turn a simple phrase into a dagger that pierces the soul, or reduce it to empty noise that fades away. The Stoics understood this. Restraint and patience amplify strength, while haste reveals weakness. When you use maybe too quickly, without pause, it feels careless, even evasive. But when you let silence stretch, when you breathe, when you allow her expectation to build, then you drop the word with calm certainty. It lands like thunder. She feels it in her chest, not just in her ears. The same is true of enough. Shouted in the heat of anger, it sounds like frustration, like you've lost control. But spoken calmly, after a deliberate pause, it radiates authority. It tells her you are not reacting, you are deciding. And decisions, not reactions, are what separate men of strength from boys of impulse. This is the subtle art of tension. It's not about being manipulative. It's about being comfortable with silence, with space, with not rushing to fill every gap. Most men trip over themselves to avoid discomfort. The Stoic man embraces it. He knows that silence is not empty, it's charged. And when he finally speaks, his words cut deeper because they arrive with purpose. Think of a master swordsman. He doesn't swing wildly. He waits poised, measuring every movement. Then with perfect timing, he strikes once, clean and precise. That's how your words must be. Rare, deliberate, unforgettable. So remember, it's not just the words themselves, but the pauses that frame them, the discipline that delivers them, and the calm presence that makes them resonate. Master timing, and every word becomes a weapon. Words alone are powerless if the man speaking them is hollow. Maybe and enough are not tricks. They are reflections of the man behind them. If you use them without strength, without conviction, they sound weak, even childish. But when they flow from a man rooted in discipline and self-respect, they carry undeniable weight. A woman is not spellbound by syllables. She's drawn to the presence that delivers them. If you say maybe, but secretly crave her approval, she will sense it, and the word collapses. If you say enough, but fear losing her, it rings false and she will press harder. Authenticity cannot be faked. This is why Stoicism matters. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they all preached alignment between words and inner being. A man must first live the principles he speaks. He must be indifferent to validation, steady in adversity, and fearless in walking away. Only then do his words strike with the force of truth. The Stoic man doesn't perform. He embodies. He doesn't wield maybe and enough as tactics, but as natural extensions of his character. His calm presence says, I am enough. I do not chase. I do not fear silence or distance. My life has purpose beyond this moment. And because of that, his words don't just provoke, they command respect. They remind her she is dealing with a man who cannot be bent, who cannot be owned, who cannot be reduced to begging. The truth is simple. The words work only if you do. Attraction has never been about flashy gestures, endless compliments, or desperate pursuit. It is about presence. The two words, maybe and enough, are not magic spells, but reflections of a deeper truth. A man's value lies in his steadiness, not in his struggle to be chosen. Maybe ignites curiosity because it shows you are not rushing to validate. It signals that your life is full, that you do not cling to approval. Enough commands respect because it marks the line where you will not bend. It reveals that you have standards, that you protect your time, energy, and dignity. Together, these words form a magnetic paradox, unpredictable yet grounded, mysterious yet secure. The Stoics understood that true power comes not from controlling others, but from mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you embody this, women feel it. They sense that your strength is not an act, but a way of being." In the end, desire is not earned by chasing, it is drawn by gravity. A man who lives with purpose, indifference to validation, and courage to walk away becomes unforgettable. Use maybe and enough, not as tricks, but as echoes of the man you already are becoming. Calm, disciplined, untouchable. That is the Stoic path. That is the heart-stopping truth.